Hello everyone, this is Showtime 112. The contribution of Polish aviators to the Allied cause in World War II is well known. This is especially true regarding their role in the Battle of Britain. However, it's less known that they also participated in the Battle of France. After their country was invaded and occupied by Nazi Germany and its Soviet allies, many members of the Polish Air Force managed to escape to other countries. The majority went to Romania, and from there they ended up in France. By the 1st of June 1940, the Polish Air Force in France numbered more than 9,000 men. Two Groupe de Chasse, fighter groups, sometimes translated as squadrons, were initially formed from Polish pilots. Proposals were also made to create a third unit of Polish pilots, which was intended to fight on the Finnish side against the Soviets in the Winter War. The French supported the idea and agreed to provide the unit with fighters. However, before the Polish unit could be trained and deployed to Finland, the Winter War ended. The unit nevertheless continued its training and was given the designation Groupe de Chasse 1-145. The other Polish units were divided among various French Air Force groups, but Groupe de Chasse 1-145 was the only one that operated together as a single unit. It became fully manned and received its aircraft in May 1940, being initially stationed at Lyon-Bron. In this video, we will focus on the combat record of this particular Polish fighter unit, but before we begin, let us talk about their mount, the Caudron C.714 Cyclone. The aircraft was developed in response to a 1936 specification, calling for a light fighter of wooden construction that could be built quickly and cheaply in large numbers. Caudron offered the C.710, which was derived from an earlier series of air racers. This model eventually evolved into the C.714, and in November 1938, the French Air Force ordered 20 examples, with an option for another 180. The first deliveries began only in January 1940, but it soon became clear that the Cyclone was not a promising design. It was seriously underpowered, lacked maneuverability, and had a poor climb rate. It could not be expected to compete with the German Bf-109. The production order was reduced to only 80 examples, which were to be delivered to Finland, then fighting the Winter War and in desperate need of modern equipment. If you know anything about the Finnish Air Force in World War II, you know that they fought with great effectiveness using fighter types that did not perform particularly well elsewhere, such as the Brewster Buffalo or Fiat G50. In the case of Caudron's fighter, however, not even the Finns could make much use of it. Only 6 examples were delivered to Finland, and after testing, they were found unsuitable for use under Finnish conditions and were never employed in combat. When the German attack on France began, the Polish unit was still undergoing training at Lyon-Bron airfield, which was raided by German bombers on the first day. Nine men were killed in the attack, and subsequently, alert sections were established to protect the base. Nine sorties were flown, after which the unit was moved to Meaux airfield, still in the vicinity of Lyon. The Polish pilots, still officially in training, continued to fly air defense missions from their new airfield until the 18th. After that date, Groupe de Chasse 1-145 was deployed to the front and sent to its new base at Villacoublay near Paris. Operations from the unit's new home formally began on 20 May, but on the 21st, the first large batch of C-714s was received, 16 new aircraft, raising the total number to 20. On 24 May, the French Minister of Aviation, Guy Lachambre, visited the Polish unit at Villacoublay. He was informed of the design's deficiencies, which eventually led to the Cyclone's suspension from combat service. However, no other aircraft could be delivered to the Polish unit, and the pilots continued flying their missions the next day at their own risk. Between 20 May and 2nd of June 1940, Groupe de Chasse 1145 flew 23 combat patrols, totaling 92 flight hours. By 30 May, it had received a full complement of pilots, divided into 2 flights of 15 men each. On 2nd of June, the unit was transferred to a new base at Dreux, 30 kilometers west of Paris. This would be the unit's home for just 1 week. Operating temporarily from Bernay airfield, a flight of 5 Caudrons led by Captain Antoni Vcelik encountered the enemy for the first time on 8 June 1940. Taking off at 3:45 p.m., the Polish flight was assigned to patrol the Vernon-Moulins area. They encountered a group of Messerschmitts Bf-110Cs of 3rd Gruppe, Zerstörergeschwader 26, escorting Stukas. A fight developed, and after it was over, all 5 Polish pilots returned to their home base around 5 p.m. Captain Vcelik and Lieutenant Czerwiński claimed victories, but none of the other pilots saw the enemy aircraft crash. The unit's victory list, drawn up on 13 June 1940, credited Captain Vcelik and Lieutenant Czerwiński with a probable victory over 1 Messerschmitt Bf-110. However, a Bf-110 wreck was reportedly found later, and all 5 Polish pilots who participated in the combat were credited with 1 Bf-110 each, as was the French practice at the time, even though only a single aircraft had been shot down. Unfortunately for the Poles, German records list no such losses, as only 1 Bf-110 was shot down that day, and that was on the German-Swiss border. The only loss that could perhaps match the Polish Caudron pilot's claim was a Do-17 from Kampfgeschwader 76, suggesting a possible misidentification. All 5 Polish aircraft returned to base, but most suffered some damage during the battle. The 9th of June 1940 was the most important day for the Polish unit. They were assigned to sweep the valley of Seine between Moulins and Rouen. The entire unit initially flew to Bernay airfield in the morning and then conducted several patrol flights. 17 Caudrons took off for another patrol around 2 p.m., led by Major Kempinski. After about 30 minutes, the Polish formation encountered about 20 Messerschmitt Bf-109s from 2nd Gruppe Jagdgeschwader 27, escorting a large group of Dornier Do-17Zs. The Poles held the advantage. The sun was behind them, and they were flying at 6,000 meters altitude, about 2,000 meters above the Germans. But Major Kempinski did not attack. Second Lieutenant Czesław Głowczynski, whose radio was not working, approached his leader's aircraft, wagged his wings, and pointed downwards, asking why they were not attacking. Kempinski acknowledged the gesture but kept flying straight. Głowczynski then indicated he would attack alone, to which Kempinski signaled his approval. Głowczynski dove on the German formation, which remained unaware of him, until he attacked the rearmost fighter on the right side. Only after one of their aircraft went down trailing smoke did the German pilots scatter and engage. Głowczynski damaged another Messerschmitt, but soon faced multiple opponents. Fortunately, his wingman, 2nd Lieutenant Jerzy Czerniak, intervened, shooting down one of the Messerschmitts attacking Głowczynski and allowing him to escape. Czerniak followed his victim down until it crashed near a farm. Głowczynski's Caudron was damaged, but managed to reach Evreux airfield, covered by his wingman. He was credited with one Messerschmitt shot down and another damaged, while Czerniak received one victory credit. While these two pilots fought the Messerschmitts, others in the formation engaged Dornier bombers from 3rd Gruppe Kampfgeschwader II. One Dornier was jointly credited to Captain Lewczelik, Lieutenant Kowalski, and Sergeant Markiewicz. The Messerschmitts, however, intervened, and German pilots shot down 3 Caudrons, killing their pilots: Lieutenant Jan Obuchowski, 2nd Lieutenant Lech Lachowicki-Czechowicz, and Corporal Edward Uchto. German pilots credited with victories in this engagement were Hauptmann Werner Andres, Feldwebel Karl Witzel, and Feldwebel Karl-Heinz Bendert. Still, the fight was not one-sided. Corporal Mieczysław Parafiński shot down one Bf-109. Luftwaffe records confirm 3 Messerschmitts lost in this battle, flown by Lieutenant Hans Bosch and Feldwebel Karl-Heinz Kranich, both taken prisoner, and Lieutenant Hermann Kugler, missing. The battles of 8 and 9 June 1940 resulted in a sharp drop in available aircraft. Barely 12 remained operational. Despite this, the next day, 10 June, again saw heavy action for GC-1145. 12 Caudrons, led once more by Major Kempinski, took off at 8 a.m. South of Dreux, they encountered a formation of Dornier bombers, escorted by 12 Bf-109s. The Polish formation attacked head-on, and according to Kempinski's recollection, the engagement lasted only seconds. Two Polish pilots, 2nd Lieutenant Czerniak and Aleksander Żukowski, were credited with shooting down 1 Dornier each, while Captain Piotr Łaguna was credited with a Bf-109. After the attack, the formation scattered, but the drama continued. Major Kempinski attempted to rejoin what he thought was his formation, only to realize they were Messerschmitts, not Caudrons. Hoping he had not been noticed, he tried to escape, but was soon hid in the cockpit. Wounded and barely conscious, Kempinski managed to make a belly landing and was taken to hospital. He was later evacuated to Great Britain but never flew again. GC-1145 was moved 3 more times between 11 and 19 June 1940. The remaining aircraft flew defensive patrols but did not encounter the enemy. 3 Bloch 152s were assigned during this period with the intent of eventually re-equipping the unit with this superior fighter, but the collapse of France prevented it. On 19 June, the remaining 13 aircraft were abandoned, and the unit personnel boarded a ship in the port of La Rochelle, which evacuated them to Great Britain. An exception was a group of 8 pilots led by Captain Antoni Včelik, who were assigned to the French Groupe de Chasse 1-1 for conversion training on the Bloch MB-152. On 18 June, Captain Včelik and Sergeant Antoni Markiewicz, along with the French pilot Adjutant Délégué, encountered a single Heinkel 111. The 3 pilots attacked and damaged the bomber, which subsequently crashed into the Bay of Biscay, becoming the last victim of GC-1145 pilots in the Battle of France. The 8 Poles were likewise evacuated to Britain. Groupe de Chasse 1145 was the only combat unit ever to employ the Caudron C.714 in battle. The number of victories credited to its pilots is usually listed as 12, though some of these were shared, resulting in 9 individual aircraft shot down, including one while flying the Bloch fighter. 3 pilots were killed in action and 1 was lost in accident. Even though not all the victories can be matched with German loss records, the unit nevertheless achieved a positive score against opponents flying superior aircraft. If you enjoyed the video, let us know in the comment section. Thank you for watching and stay tuned to Showtime 112.